Well, Florida fans, you guys know exactly how us Bama fans feel because in this game, over 13 penalties, untimely unforced errors, um, dealing with a very hostile environment, having some questionable calls, which I know Dan Mullen is probably going to complain about in his press conference. That's pretty much us, with the exception of Dick Saban always complaining in the press conference about the game, because that's what Dan Mullen does. But this game was just not Florida-like. They didn't really have a lot of success with the ground game, to be honest with you, at least for their standards. Really were not that efficient of, really throwing the football. And even though, like I said, Emory Jones, I think in the first half went like 10 for 11, which is good, right? You can say that's efficient. But as far as moving the chains, really just moving the ball for Florida, controlling the time of possession, Florida didn't really do that compared to what they did against Alabama in the second, third, and the fourth quarter against Alabama. Give a lot of credit to Kentucky. They played the option extremely well. They limited it. They limited the passing opportunities, the passing attacks whenever Emory Jones tried to do it. We didn't even see that much for Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson had like a big first down run and had an 8-yard throw, and I think that was pretty much just about it. So we didn't really even see that much about it. But Emory Jones was getting better and better and better at throwing the football, moving the chains. You can tell that the playbook was really starting to open up a little bit. And then all of a sudden we get to the Kentucky game and Anthony Richardson is back playing, and we kind of see the Emory Jones that kind of revolved back to the first couple of weeks where you could tell the playbook is not really open that much often. They're really resorting a lot more to the run game. We didn't really see the playbook really open up for Emory Jones, and I'm just talking about the passing attack. We didn't really see that opening up until the last 2-3 minutes of the game, when Emory Jones had no choice but to throw the football. And even in some of those goal line situations, especially at the end, when they're running a quarterback draw like on 2nd and 11, it's like, why are you running a quarterback draw on 2nd and 11? Just made no sense to me at all. But just like I said this before, guys, and I even said this during Alabama-Florida before the game was even played. Florida's not beating Alabama unless you can throw the football. You have to be efficient enough. You have to capitalize, and you have to capitalize. You have to throw the football. Now, Florida almost beat Alabama, but just like how I talked about a little bit earlier in this video, Bama also had 15 penalties. Alabama also had untimely errors. Alabama also played in a very difficult environment like the Swamp. And unfortunately for the Florida Gators, the same situation occurred to them that happened to us. They played in a very difficult environment, and they also had way too many damn penalties, which you can make an argument cost. No, I'm not even going to make an argument. It did cost them this game. Like, you had 3 false start penalties at the goal line in your final drive. What is that? I mean, you had snapping fractures. You had some, I think the running back moved, your tackle moved. Like, you had 3 false start penalties. They had 5 penalties the last 2 drives when they were in the goal line, when they were moving the ball well and they were in the goal line. And those penalties, which Florida could have scored a touchdown on a 4th and 1 conversion, resulted in a field goal. And then their second drive, you had a false start penalty that was on the running back that set them up big and that set them up 5 yards back. And it just really, you can make an argument, really cost them the football game. It's just those untimely mistakes, those untimely errors that you cannot do, especially in a very hostile environment, and primarily a night game against a very difficult team like Kentucky that always has a good defense. Like Mike Stoops with Kentucky, the last 2 to 3 years has always produced a really good defense. Can't do that against Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's running game was also able to have a lot of success as well. Rodriguez had a great game, even though I think he had 17 carries for 9 yards. You look at some of the plays that Kentucky capitalized on to kind of move the chains going. You got to give credit to that. Their passing attack was unimpressive. The fact that they had less than 100 yards, but they still beat Florida, I think tells you kind of all you need to really know. Kentucky has a really good discipline, really good defense, very disciplined. Their running game and their line, and the fact that their offensive line really took control of the line of scrimmage for the most part of this game. And still, for the most part, the Florida loss was just, I don't know, it just tells you really all you need to know. I think that this was more bad Florida than Kentucky simply winning this football game. Kentucky simply just being the better team. Because again, I think that if this game was played 10 times if this game was played 10 times, and if Florida's on their best A game compared to Kentucky's best A game, I think Florida wins a handful of those times. However, they're playing once until next year. And the fact of the matter is that you can't have 15 penalties and expect to win in a very difficult environment like Kentucky, especially in a night environment. Can't really expect that at all. But I think this kind of goes to show you that Florida has a lot of holes. And I think that, honestly, I think Dan Mullen should be put on the hot seat. Because the fact that even though that they won the SC East last year, and you look at some of the controversial statements that Dan Mullen has kind of been known for, and most importantly in his press conferences, of really blaming the players, blaming everybody else except for himself. You can't be 3-2. You can't be 3-2 at this stage of the season. You can't. Their season's already over. This loss to Kentucky marks the end for their season. Now, of course, they could beat Georgia. But if Georgia goes ahead and wins every game, they're not winning the SC East anyway. They can try to go for a New Year's Six Bowl game, but the way that Florida has played and the way that their offense is kind of set up, I can probably expect even some more losses here for the Florida Gators. Yes, they had the great moral victory against Bama by almost winning that game. But what Florida kind of proved that they tend to struggle a little bit on the road. And this was their first true test as far as on the road. This was their first test on the road, and they couldn't handle the pressure. They couldn't handle the pressure at all. So I think for the Florida Gators, kind of looking forward, I don't know, maybe moral victories might be the way for you guys this season. Maybe you guys were destined for moral victories, but maybe you can try to take a look at outlook for next year, try to find which players can get better, which players can develop, which players can get ready for next year. But as far as potentially winning the SC East and going to the college football playoffs, that's over with now. I feel like, if you're a Kentucky fan, you got to be excited if you're a Kentucky fan. You won this game against a top 10 ranked opponent that almost beat Alabama. You got to be extremely excited for that. You're 5-0. But I think that for the most part, when we're talking about winning the SC East, I think everyone kind of knows who the best team in the SC East is, and it's not even close. It's Georgia. And I feel like if you're a Kentucky fan, you might be a little nervous going into that game, but you are a little bit hopeful looking out for the future that you're trying to really establish a football program. You're really trying to establish a winning culture here instead of just being known for a basketball school or really having that basketball culture. You want to try to have at least both of those. And I feel like beating Florida is a really good start to try to build a foundation for your football program. But anyway, guys, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe. Have more reactions on the way. Florida fans or Kentucky fans, let me know how you guys feel about this, and yeah, I'll catch you guys later. So anyway, guys, stay safe. Have a good night or day, whatever you get, depending on your location. And I'll check you guys on the next one.